Alright, man. This is it, back from the dead. Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney is back. Started this game about 2 years ago, and figured now is a great time to go back to it. Starting one of my personal favorite cases in the entire series. This one is all about the Steel Samurai, as you're seeing on screen right now. And you are also hearing one of my favorite songs, not only in the series, but just in video games in general. The Steel Samurai theme is amazing. There is a case in this game, it's actually the next case, I would say is better than this case, story-wise, but I'll always have a soft spot for this case in particular. And I don't know, maybe a good amount of that might have to do with the music. Just saying. I feel like I keep saying this at the beginning of each of these cases that I'm doing, but this is kind of the first real case. You know, the first one was just a tutorial case. Then the second one with Mia's murder, that kind of also holds your hand a little bit. It's more of an extended tutorial that doesn't really feel like a tutorial, but that's kind of what it is. It's to ease you into the game. But this one is when it really kind of starts to get, they let you loose, kind of. It doesn't hold your hand as much, and it really lets you just do your thing. It's also, up until this point, the longest case so far. I think one of the best parts about this case is that I want to say any chance that they get, they play the Steel Samurai theme, which is really great. My worries in the beginning kind of paid off a little bit by saying that, you know, if I could sit through this game and do the entire thing, that would be kind of a miracle. And yeah, I'd say that that's a big point of why there was a 2-year gap. It was because I did the first 2 cases and then I was like, okay, I gotta take a break. Because it is kind of hard to... It's hard to find things to talk about when there's no dialogue, there's no real gameplay, quote-unquote. You know, it's like I'm Mystery Science Theatering a visual novel, essentially. You know, there were a bunch of games that I wanted to do in the in-between, which is another reason why I didn't really get around to finishing this game. But I love this series so much, and I do very much want to at least play through, at some point, the original 3 games. So there's not really much to do right now except talk to Maya, who is very clearly into taking this case on. This case, I like the premise of it because it is kind of... I would assume that this is inspired by some of those, like, real-world cases, like Brandon Lee, and I think there were a couple others, where they died during the filming of a movie. I mean, you gotta give props to that security guard who's just always standing in the corner of that room. He never moves. That guy is a pro. But unfortunately, he will not be the only security guard we will be meeting in this video. I love that. I feel bad for Will Powers. This guy, well, obviously his name is a pun, like most other characters in the series. But he just kind of looks like a big Wolverine kind of guy. Actually, he kind of looks like, I don't know, like if Wolverine and Blanca from Street Fighter had a kid together. I wonder if that's actually, like, a thing that happens, that people are afraid to show themselves in public if they play these kinds of characters. Like, I wonder if any of the, whatever they're called in Japan, the, like, Power Rangers, if they do that, they're worried about letting their fans down. But then again, I think, don't they have, like, secret identities? They probably show what they look like, so that's probably a moot point. This is something that I've always wanted to see ever since I first played this game, and they kind of did in the Ace Attorney anime, but I would like to see a little short. It could be like 5-10 minutes. Just animate like an episode of the Steel Samurai. I would love to see that so much. Especially because, like, it becomes a very big part of the series almost. That a bunch of characters, Maya loves the Steel Samurai. You see, like, people dressed up as Steel Samurais in, like, amusement parks and stuff like that in later games. And, there's some other characters, Edgeworth, that secretly love the series. And I'd love to see what an episode of Steel Samurai looks like. And we get kind of a very vague look at that in the Ace Attorney anime, which I appreciated. That was the kind of stuff that I really wanted to see in the anime, and for the most part, I was pretty happy with the anime. From what I saw, I actually only watched up until the Steel Samurai section, and then I stopped. I'm waiting for it to be released on Blu-ray in the US, hopefully. At some point. That's also probably the worst alibi you could possibly have, that you were just sleeping the entire time. I'm gonna say I was a little bit ashamed of this, but it took me way longer than it should have to realize that Global Studios was supposed to be like a parody of, Universal Studios. Oh boy, here we go. Well, first off, first knock against this character, she stopped the Steel Samurai theme from playing.
Oh yeah, well, that's great. I'm security, and it's my job to make sure that gawkers like you stay out.
It's also Hulk Hogan's responsibility to keep gawkers out, if you know what I'm saying.
You heard about the incident and came to snoop around. Youths today, something horrible happens. Wasting your time. Don't you have jobs? You're lawyers like the rest of us. Maybe you should become a lawyer too. Life of ease, do as you please.
This character is Wendy Oldbag, and probably one of my least favorite characters in the entire series. I just don't like her. She's not a great character. Just gonna, you know, put that one out there. She's exactly the kind of security guard that is put in any kind of position of power over another person, as minuscule as it is, and they just let it all go to their head. You know, she's just an old bag, essentially. And I know all about security guards who let power go to their heads because I am a security guard and I'm surrounded by them. I wonder if people in the Ace Attorney world are, like, self-aware that everyone's name is a pun. Like, here's Wendy Oldbag talking about Jack Hammer, who supposedly got killed by Will Powers. Like, what? And then there's Dick Gumshoe somewhere around here, you know, being a detective. As we, of course, know, his name is Detective. I guess the only characters who don't have pun names are, like, the main characters. Maya Fey isn't really a pun. Phoenix Wright isn't a pun. Miles Edgeworth isn't a pun. Well, that's probably not great for our case. Yeah, that's just one of those that would never stand up in court. Yeah, I was, I was sleeping, Your Honor. No, I don't think so. I still don't know how this works. I mentioned before, I have a lot of lawyers in my family, and I keep forgetting to ask them, like, hey, can a defense attorney just kind of go to a crime scene and, like, you know, examine things? Is that allowed? I know the prosecution can, I'm fairly certain, but I don't know about the defense. It would make sense for them to be able to, but I don't know if that's actually how it works or not. Mr. Powers, your alibi sucks. Like a baby. I like, the voice of Phoenix Wright in the anime was, kind of funny, because I was, like, 5 or 6 episodes deep, and I was like, this guy sounds really familiar. And it didn't hit me until Phoenix started yelling, that I realized, oh shit, I think the Japanese voice actor is the same one that plays, Eren Yeager on Attack on Titan. And lo and behold, it is. I thought that was pretty funny that I only really recognized it when he started yelling. But he was good. It was a weird experience watching the episodes on Crunchyroll, because a lot of the characters, they don't use, like in the subtitles, they don't use their American names, they use their Japanese names, so every time they brought up, like, Naruhodo, I think is how you say it, like, what is his name, like, Ryuichi Naruhodo or something like that, is Phoenix Wright's name in Japan, and it was a very trippy experience every single time. See, this is a typical power-hungry security guard move. I don't believe you, so go get a testimony saying that you can come in. And she does the exact same job I do, which is access control. And let me tell you, you deal with some annoying people, but you're nothing. You're just a guy who sits in a booth and goes, yep, you can go in. Nope, you can't go in. It's a dreadfully boring job. But the upside is I get to sit on my phone, watch YouTube, and get paid for it, and also play video games at work. So that's, like, the only upside. However, this woman does not look like she could use a phone. She could probably barely work that computer in the back. We don't really need that, so we'll just leave. That thing in the background looks all fucked up. Nope, I got off, scot-free. That's great. Sipping tea and staring gloomily out the window. Although I do have a feeling he probably would have done that anyway. Oh, don't put down Gumshoe. I would really like to see an Ace Attorney game in VR. Like, I just recently got a PSVR, and I still don't think the technology is all there yet, but Resident Evil 7 was very good, and it seems like Capcom is kind of reorganizing themselves and saying, hey, we're probably going to make a lot more VR games in the future. I think a Phoenix Wright VR game makes a lot of sense. You know, you go into a room, you look around it in VR, you're looking for evidence. You could use the PS Move controllers to extend your arm and go objection. I think that could work. I would very much like to see a Phoenix Wright VR game. Dumb it down for him. Gotcha. Yeah, we don't want any more revised autopsy reports. I don't think that's true, though. I think we've already seen that there were more people in there. There's a picture of him surrounded with other people. How are there only the 2 people in that building? I really don't want to talk to her. I love Maya's little pouty face. No, Gumshoe, she's not sweet. She's the worst. And unfortunately, she's like a recurring character, too. This isn't the only game that she's in. I don't think, anyway. I don't remember if she shows up in 2 or 3, but she shows up in Edgeworth Investigations, and I think she's actually even worse in that game. Is she in 2 and 3? I don't know. She might, like, cameo in it at, like, one point. She's kind of like Larry, where Larry's pretty, Larry's annoying, but Old Bag is just, like, mean on purpose. Larry's just dumb. Wait, what do you mean? Phoenix doesn't look happy. He's smiling. You're just gonna let us do it? Ah, so he's letting us in because he thinks that there's nothing else to be seen. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't seem... Would they cooperate like that? In honor of fairness, you would hope that they would let defense attorneys investigate this kind of stuff, but they're not detectives. I think usually defense attorneys just work with the evidence that they're given. Like, I don't think that glove, if the glove fits guy was going outside of OJ's house, going like, you know, oh, all this blood out here, it's OJ's. I gotta make sure it's not his. If the blood fits, you must acquit. I would love to see that show redone, The People vs. O.J. Simpson, but with Phoenix Wright characters. Anyway, that's it for this video. See you in the next one where we explore this movie studio some more. See you then.